The word cinematic gets thrown around a lot. It's a word that's sort of hard to define, and it seems like these days it's a buzzword used to sell a varying degree of products. But what does it actually mean? One definition I found is visual qualities or aesthetics of a video or film. Not very descriptive, but let's examine this. What makes an image cinematic isn't any one thing. It's a culmination of many elements that come together to paint a collaborative picture. It's in the lighting, the camera movement, the composition, the shutter speed, the color grading, the story being told, and many other things that when combined give us that feeling that we're looking at more than just a video, but something that has deeper artistic or emotional substance. One of these elements that is often used when creating a cinematic image that I haven't mentioned yet are anamorphic lenses. Now, anybody who's looked into anamorphic lenses knows that traditionally they can be very, very, very expensive. But thanks to companies like Sirui, there are affordable options for those of us on a budget. I've been using the 35mm anamorphic from Sirui for a little while now, and while I fell in love with it from the first time I used it, it wasn't long before I was looking for a version in a longer focal length to accompany my wide angle. Enter the new Sirui 150mm anamorphic lens. Now, this is going to be less of a product review and more so just me playing with these lenses and showcasing some footage while I talk about my experience. I've never really been one to get super into the technical aspect of gear when talking about camera equipment, and to be honest, there are other channels on here that do a way better job diving into the details and technical aspects of this lens. And if that's more your jam, I encourage you to go check those out. Also, just a quick note before we start looking at some of this footage, I did find the lens to be pretty sharp for my personal taste, so I've attached a diffusion filter to it, which I've linked in the description, to most of the footage you're going to be seeing, just to soften it up a bit. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive in. To make it super simple, an anamorphic lens utilizes a group of lens elements along with the spherical elements of a lens called an anamorphic block. This allows the lens to capture a wider field of view and squeeze it to fit your camera's sensor. The footage is then de-squeezed in post to return it to a more natural looking state, and through this process the image takes on a set of unique qualities that many of us have learned to associate with cinema. Not counting the stretched aspect ratio of the footage, without a doubt the most notable characteristic of an anamorphic lens is the bokeh. Where spherical lenses have circular bokeh, due to the squeeze of an anamorphic lens, the bokeh takes on a trademark oval shape, and the compression naturally gives the background so much more texture and personality. When compared to a spherical lens, anamorphic lenses have a far less natural look to them. Everything is so squashed and compressed, and while this is entirely subjective, I personally feel that it adds a more film-like vibe to the image. I think the reason for this is because we are looking at something that doesn't look entirely real, so it's easier to forget that we're watching a video and get lost in the world that's being presented to us. Another wonderful charm of an anamorphic lens is the beautiful focus fall off and drop off that you get with it. Focus fall off occurs as you get further from the center of the frame. The image becomes increasingly out of focus and your eye is naturally drawn to the subject more. Focus drop off is how soft the edges are between what's in focus, your subject, and the background. Another telltale sign of an anamorphic lens are the lens flares. Anamorphic lenses exhibit a strong lens flare when pointed at bright light sources, which results in a horizontal streak across the image. The flares in Sirui lenses are also quite saturated for my taste, but again, this is a subjective opinion and some people may prefer it. Lastly, this is one of my favorite things about this lens in particular. Where most anamorphic lenses don't have a very close focus distance, this lens can focus as close as 0.58 meters. This means you can get dreamy, ultra close-ups without relying on the use of diopters to focus more closely. Overall, I'm really impressed with the quality of this lens. Like I said before, it is pretty sharp, but that's easily corrected with a diffusion filter, and the lens flares being super saturated might just be my personal taste. I think a lot of people might really like them. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether you like that or you think it's a little too much. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm still getting this YouTube thing figured out, so I really appreciate each and every one of you who've used these videos, who has subscribed to me in the last 3 weeks. Honestly, I was not even expecting to get 100 views on one of my videos, and now they're in the thousands already, and I'm just so grateful for that and for each and every one of you who watches these videos. I don't entirely know what I'm doing, but right now my goal is just to make each and every video better than the last one so that I can continue to bring you guys good content that you enjoy and that you want to watch, and hopefully helps you in your photography or videography journeys. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do that. There's going to be more every Monday, and I hope that you all have a fantastic week. Keep on creating, and I'll see you next Monday. Hard cut.